So, this is true story about something that happened to me about 4 years ago. At the time, it completely freaked me out. I used to tell people about it, but nobody ever really believed me. So I just stopped telling the story because I know exactly what I saw and I got sick of people telling me I was wrong. So, my nan lives in fairly scheduled area and at the back of her house has a big garden with a big pond, greenhouses and fruit trees. Just over halfway up the grass there are two flower arches surrounded by bushes which led to back of the garden where there is wooden summer house against the fence and two large patches of soil either side which make up the back corners of the garden and the fence. One night at around 9 p.m. I had a phone call from one of my close friends. It seems important, so I decided to leave the house and take the call in the summer house at the back of the Nan's garden. It was during the winter, so it was pitch black in the scheduled garden by 9 p.m. I would been on my phone for about 15 minutes chatting away when I heard my little sister knocking on the door of summer house. My sister was about 12 years old at that time. She was a very confident and mischievous character and who was often nosy when I was talking to my friend. So I just called out and told her to go away, then carried on chatting. About 3 minutes later, I started hearing more knock, but this time it was much louder and along the front of the wooden wall as well on the door. My sister knows I did not like the dark and that I am scary cat. I thought she was trying to creep me out, so I shouted loudly at her, "Go away," and that I was trying to have a conversation. I apologized to my friend for my sister's behavior and continued to conversation. Less than 2 minutes later, more knocking. This time it was accompanied by a stranger scratching sound like she was dragging her nails or maybe a stick along the wooden walls of the summer house. At this point, I was annoyed. I was trying to have a serious conversation, and this was the third time my sister had done this. It was aggravating, but honestly was also kind of spooky because I knew I was out in the dark quite far away from the home, and even though I knew it was my sister, strangely on edge. I once again apologized to my friend and took him with me on phone outside to comfort her. I swung open the door and stepped into the pitch black garden. I saw my sister run around the side of the summer house and into the corner of the fence on the floor. It was so dark I could only just about make out her shadow, but I could see that she was down in the corner with her hand up over her face. I shouted to her, "Holly, there is no point in hiding. I can see you. Stop mucking around." With this, she stood up and walked along the fence until she was right next to the summer house. I shouted out to her again, "Holly, stop being silly. You knew I don't like the dark and it's freezing cold." Then I started apologizing on the phone to my friend again, but this dad just disappeared and gone. I stopped mid-sentence on the phone and I stood there for a few seconds completely silent, my body seized up. I could not understand what had just happened. After a few moments, I half got myself together. I put my phone on loudspeaker and turned on its flashlight, directing it at the fence. There was nothing and nobody there. Who or what have I been calling out? I turned around, bolted it back down the garden and to the house. I ran as fast as possible. I can walk with tear. I started muttering something to my friend on the phone and tore into the house through the kitchen. My mom was stood in the kitchen and asked me what was wrong with me. I was stood there shaking, tears in my eyes and completely out of breath. All I said was, "Where's Holly?" But before she could answer, I ran through the house searching for her. I quickly found her in her bedroom, which we shared when we both stayed around. She was lying in one of the beds, tucked under the cover, with the headphones on, watching something on tablet. My blood ran cold, tears started dripping out of my eyes, and I asked her if she had been in the garden. She said she had been in the bed watching a movie on the tablet for the last half an hour. I knew when my sister was lying, and she could clearly see I was distraught and actually looked quite cornered. And even if I did not believe her, there's no way she would have got back down the huge garden and into the house without me realizing. I left the room and told my friend, who had been on the phone the whole time, what had just happened. He was nearly as freaked out as I was because he had heard the knocking as well as me calling out to my sister multiple times. I tried to tell my mom what had happened. She nodded, but I knew she did not believe. I then told my sister, who was a bit more convinced, but she thought I was just trying to scare her. I was in such a panic and I was so frustrated that nobody believed what happened. To this day, the only one person who ever believed me is the friend I was on the phone to. He heard everything from the noises of the door to me running down to the garden to the panic in my voice when I found my sister inside. It still keeps me up night sometimes, even now. I always wonder what the hell had just happened that night. What had I heard? Who was shouting at full time, and who did the such stuff in the corner of the garden? Was granted who had died in the house a few months earlier, or was it something very, very different? I don't think I will ever know the answer. But what I don't know is that it was scariest thing I have ever experienced, and it will be astonished for my brain every detail of it, the noises, the other stuff burned into my memories for good. I have not stepped foot past those flowers since, and I refuses to go into the garden in the dark. I am so afraid even after many years of that incident.